First of all, let's a little toast in the morning. You don't want to drink all yours, that's okay.
Yeah, you
a little morning toast.
Yes, sir.
So, how you get started in this industry? Tell me, what's your history in this videography game?
Well, the first thing was that I had gone to school for electronics, technology, and engineering. Went to the school, got the certificate, put in my application in 3, 6, 10, WDAS, WHAT, all the radio stations. 6 was the first one that called me. And I never looked back.
You've been there ever since?
Ever since. That was 1979. Every now and then I try to go out with the guys, see how the street life was, because I was stuck on a workbench all during the day, all doing my shit. When the job came open 5 years later, I was in consideration for it, but they were like, well, why would we hire you? Somebody who never shot professionally when we can get somebody who's been in the field shooting. And I said, well, you know, you can get somebody from Boston or either from Houston that knows all the technical ends and all that stuff, been doing it for years, but if they don't know to get onto West River Drive when the Schuylkill is all messed up,
then what they gonna do?
They got all that knowledge sitting up in their head in the van. And finally in '88, I got the contract to be a videographer.
So in most newsrooms, I've noticed, the turnover is less with there's less photographer turnover than anything. So we're like the veterans in the building, in a lot of buildings.
Correct, yeah.
So you've seen a lot. 40 years, dude. You've seen Philadelphia go through a bunch of faces in 40 years. What are some of the stories that stand out most to you over those 40 years?
There's 2 stories, 2 names that really stick out in my mind that I don't think I'll ever forget. And it's a little girl by the name of Nadia Smallwood and another girl by the name of Tahira Maxwell. Now, Nadia Smallwood was a resident of the housing projects in the Schuylkill Falls that's over there now by East Falls Bridge. That place has been since demolished. It was a 7-story project building for housing for poor income people. The place was so dilapidated, the top 3 or 4 floors was not being used, and they were moving people out gradually until and so they found this little girl up in the 7th floor closet, and one of the residents had actually taken her life. And they searched all over for it, and me being in the business a few years, that was one of the ones that no matter how long I've been in it, you know. And then Tahira Maxwell, 10th and Girard, her grandmother was running a little speakeasy, and the guys would come in and they'd get a little drink or something like that, do a little gambling. She comes up missing. A year later, they found her in the chimney, 10th and Girard, because they fired up the chimney, they fired up the heating system for that following year, and the smoke kept filtering down into the building, and then found out that it was
her body was inside
Tahira that was actually keeping that. And so, like I was saying, that this had to be like 83, 84, somewhere around in there. So even years later, I still remember those names, and there's been hundreds of stories that I've done.
How did it affect you seeing these things? Like, cause I say to people all the time, we're like historians, right? Nobody says that, but dude, because
I'm scared.
We're documenting.
I'm scared.
Every day. Now, maybe they're little stories. They don't affect a whole bunch of people. But every day, we go out in the street and we document somebody's story or multiple people's story. Dude, so we're like Philadelphia historians, unsung historians, right? And these things stay with you sometimes. And so that's what I was going to say. So when you started, and you were young when you started. This is like, you know, most of us were young when we got into this game, right? Not 20s or something like that.
Upper 20s.
But, you know, your view on the world is a little different than it is now.
Yes, it is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and you sometimes you feel like you can change things, you can conquer things, you know what I mean? You want to affect change. How did you manage? You know what I'm saying? When you see these stories and hear these stories about these young kids getting hurt and these young kids, you know, finding them in the chimney, and we still cover those same stories today. You know what I mean? Nothing has changed. We still finding dead kids. And like a lot of times we're the first ones on the scene sometimes. And so your eyes get to see things that the majority of society don't get to see.
Correct.
And they get in your subconscious sometimes, man. How are there any stories? I mean, I know you mentioned those two, but how do you deal with that? And how did that affect you, I guess? And did it affect you in any way, shape, or form when you move throughout society and in your daily life sometimes, man?
Just when you think your stuff is bad, you see somebody with a worse story or situation, then you say, well, I guess I don't have it that bad. But to even take it a step forward is, if I'm not making their day a little better, then I shouldn't even be there. And I think that the fact that I am put in the position where I have access to so many people that have such horrible experiences all at once, my purpose is to at least try. Now, most times you won't be able to, but you got to try to at least do something, say something, or just have something that makes their time a little bit bearable. But if you can't, then do nothing, but don't make it worse.
Correct.
You know? And so that took it's like a skill that you have to hone too, because you're so busy trying to get the story and trying to work out the technology and trying to get like the best shots and all, plus you're competing with the other guy, you lose sight of the fact that there's somebody whose story
suffering.
is suffering. So it's a skill that you have to hone, so that you're like juggling. You're like alligators on your elbows, you know. You're trying to do all this with the whole and get the page and all that, but still have some compassion. I've been amazed at people who can basically just lose the most important thing in their life, or the most important person in their life. And when we come there to their house, they come on in. Can I get you some water? Can I get you some food?
Dude, it's almost scary,
you have
isn't
to
it?
use my bathroom or something like that. And I'm saying,
like, your world is falling apart.
Yes. And you still,
and I'm here exploiting you, and you're opening your heart and your warmth to me. It's crazy, right? It really does mess with. It gives you goosebumps.
The hair is standing up on my arms right now because
Terry, this ain't hard work, man.
This is.
I love what we do, man. Like we are so fortunate, and when I hear people complain about it, I'm like, come on, man. Come on, man. This cat's humping trash for a living. This cat's laying blacktop on roofs for a living. This cat's really, really work hard for a living.
Digging ditches and
carpenters
and
yeah,
like
man, for little money. Little money. Yeah, so what we do, oh man, we are so fortunate. And like I said, man, we get to see so many things, man. And I mean, when I think, my wife said to me one time, she's like, Mike, you ain't got no pictures or nothing. I said, you know, for so long it was just a job for me. So I never really cared. I wasn't starstruck. I never really cared to take pictures. But then when you think about, like, I'll come home, she'll be like, well, what'd you do today? Like, oh, I interviewed George Bush today. You interviewed George Bush today? Like, you ain't get no picture? Like, nah, was I supposed to get a picture? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I just went to work and I did what I had to do today. You know what I mean? Or I hung out with Dionne Warwick today. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's people who you're like, you know what I mean? Yeah, Jay-Z was at the station, so already, you know, I interviewed Jay-Z today. You know what I mean? And you say stuff like this, and you don't realize that 90% of society will never get to be in the spaces that you're in.
That access.
That access that you get to people, you know, and to experiences. Never mind the people sometimes. The people don't even matter sometimes.
Right.
It's the experience sometimes that you're just like.
With presidents and congressmen and state representatives, attorney general, police chiefs, like every day almost. You know, you go into different places where the top law officers. I mean, and they get to a point where they recognize
I got
you.
ready to say that, and they know you.
They know you, you know, and basically they'll say, okay, well, we were waiting on you to come. Oh,
Yeah.
and are you by yourself?
Correct.
And so on. And they talk to you as if it's like, okay, well, you're part of my day, and I'm part of yours. So
real quick story. I had Joe Biden's son, right? So he's doing a press conference. I had worked all day.
Mm-hmm.
I get there around 11:30, 12 o'clock. I've been there on since 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. And we're doing a press conference, and it's boring me half to death, right? I must have dozed off, standing up at the camera. Next thing I know, I hear, wait a minute. He picks up the paper, rips up. So what is this guy doing? He said, listen, what I'm saying is way too important for it to get lost in copy. He said, I've never had a press conference where a photographer fell asleep standing up. I said, you saw that? He said, yeah, I saw that. But you know, it's little things like that, you know, like these cats, they have no reason to really know or care who we are. Right. And when they acknowledge you, you like, man, that's all right. Even if you call me out for sleeping, I appreciate you acknowledging me, man. You know what I mean? So that's what's up, man. I had Kenny Gamble one time. I'm standing on South Street, 15th and South, taking pictures. Yeah. No, Broad and South, taking pictures. Mm-hmm. Hey, horn, bang, bang, bang. Who's the horn at me? Bang, bang, bang. Hey, Mike, what's up? Is that Kenny Gamble? He's driving by. He don't have no reason to talk to me. Why is he talking to me? But they just know you from seeing you, and you like realize that you have become part of the fabric of what makes this city, the view of what people see of the city, dude. It's crazy.
You really, you have to remember just to make light of all of the bad stuff that we run into. But you get to do somebody who has 106th birthday.
Correct.
You know.
Correct.
You get to go to somebody who's actually gone through like a hellacious experience physically that debilitated them for a while, and they beat all the odds. Everybody thought this person was going to die, and here they are going into the Olympics and all that stuff.
Correct.
Or they back to their old running marathon.
It's beautiful because it's as much as it's depressing, it's inspiring.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because we get to see the best and the worst. We get to see the best and the worst. Man, I remember there'd be days you might cover a triple homicide, and then they'll say, go over to the Kimmel Center and cover, the opera, or go over there, so-and-so is performing at the Kimmel Center, go see that.
Yeah.
So I then went from, seeing 10 people shot over here, and now I'm sitting here watching some of the best high school students the city has to offer playing at the Kimmel Center. I mean, you get to see, and it's funny because you talk to people. I got buddies, and I talk to them, and they'll complain about the city. Oh, the city sucks, the city sucks. I'm like, dude, that's just because you only see one lane, man.
One section.
You see one lane, man. This job allows us to see the whole spectrum, man. I done been at the top of the city, and I've been at the very bottom of the city. You know what I'm saying? And you get to see it all, man. And it's just beautiful what we get to do, man.
I'll tell you one, like you say, the highs and the lows. And I remember this one last one is a little kid had run out behind his grandfather to pick up his older sibling off of a school bus. The grandfather goes in, takes the older kid, and the bus runs over the kid. He killed him, right? And all of the little kids that was in the family and in the neighborhood, all of them, and even the family, they were sitting out on the steps, and when all the cameras showed up, it seemed like they had forgotten about this little kid because they were so mesmerized at the fact that they were being on television. And the only person that I did not see out there trying to get on TV was that kid's grandfather. And I knew I could see him, even though I didn't see him.
Correct. You could see
I could see him.
Yep.
And I was with Denise James at that point. I could remember that. And it's just that all of those things that you get to see, and you wonder, you say, why me?
The job can be an emotional roller coaster.
Why me?
Why me?
Why me? Why am I so fortunate? Why am I so lucky? You know, so hey man, I'm gonna ride this wave.
Dude.
Everybody keeps saying, when you gonna give it up? When you gonna give it? I say, when it gives up on me.
When it gives up on me, why should I get off? But it's not a bad ride. Not a bad ride. Brother T, man, thank you, man. I appreciate your time this morning, Terry, man.
It's easy to take, man.
Yo, man, appreciate your time.
Try to stay out my own way. That's
all we can do. That's all we can do.
That's it.
All right,
Over a drink.